For millions of viewers, she was the woman who could make the world freeze with a single twitch of her nose. Graceful, charming, impossibly poised, Elizabeth Montgomery seemed born to play the magical housewife America adored. But behind that glow of television perfection lived a woman far more complex, far more restless, and far more wounded than anyone imagined. She didn't simply perform magic, she used it to escape, to survive, and sometimes to hide. To the cameras, she was lighthearted and elegant. Off-screen, she walked through shadows, secrets, heartbreaks, broken loyalties, and a hunger for independence that never stopped burning. She rose through Hollywood with astonishing ease, but nothing in her private life stayed steady for long. Love would come in bright flashes and vanish just as quickly. Fame would lift her higher than anyone expected, then leave her stranded with the pressure of holding everything together. But even in her most uncertain moments, something in her never dimmed. A force, call it spirit, call it rebellion, kept pushing forward. And in the end, Elizabeth didn't just play a character who bent reality, she carved her own through choices that defied expectations and roles that challenged society's comfort zone. This is not the story of a sitcom sweetheart. This is the story of a woman fighting to stay true when everyone else wanted her to stay silent. Elizabeth was born into a world where the spotlight never switched off. Her father, Robert Montgomery, was a respected actor and director, confident in his craft, commanding in his presence, and distant as a parent. Her mother, Elizabeth Allen, brought warmth to the house, but lived with the quiet weight of depression. In the elegant rooms where others saw glamour, Elizabeth learned early that fame could fill theaters but still leave hearts untouched. She grew up watching her father command film sets with absolute control, a language she would master on her own one day. But at home, his discipline felt more like judgment. Approval was rare, affection rarer. As she tried to earn his praise, she shaped herself into what others needed: observant, adaptable, charming when necessary, silent when required. School felt like a stage she didn't audition for. She was intelligent but restless, drawn not to textbooks, but to expressions, body language, tension, tone. She had inherited performance long before she chose it, and when she finally stepped in front of a camera, something clicked. She wasn't pretending, she was translating everything she had absorbed. Yet the lessons of childhood never left her. From the earliest days, Elizabeth understood a truth she could never fully shake. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. That understanding would shape every choice she made and every role she later played. When Elizabeth stepped into early television roles in the 1950s, casting directors noticed something instantly. She didn't act, she inhabited. There was subtlety in her expressions, a quiet power behind her eyes. Soon, she appeared on live drama programs and stage productions, catching attention for her natural delivery and emotional sharpness. Hollywood was calling, and she answered quickly, but with success came choices that would leave deep marks on her life. Her first marriage came young and hopeful, a safe bet, a steady man, the promise of normalcy. But stillness never suited her heart. Within a short time, she felt the familiar walls closing in. The marriage ended quietly. Her second one followed with more optimism. But once again, reality didn't match desire. She longed for connection, yet every attempt left her searching for something still unnamed. Then came her breakthrough that would reshape everything: Bewitched. As Samantha Stevens, she became the face of American television, playful, charming, elegant, and controlled. Viewers adored her. Networks praised her. Suddenly, she was everywhere. Posters, interviews, magazine covers. The world believed they knew her. But Elizabeth knew the truth. When the camera stopped, the role remained, and sometimes even she couldn't tell where Samantha ended and Elizabeth began. The show gave her power, but also trapped her inside an image she could never fully escape. She had always wanted magic. She had just never expected it to come with a price. Bewitched wasn't just a success, It became a cultural phenomenon. Elizabeth didn't simply play Samantha, she almost defined her. The quirky housewife with hidden power became a symbol of charm and quiet rebellion. Families tuned in every week, not just to be entertained, but to feel at ease. In a decade of war, protests, and social upheaval, Samantha was the kind of magic America desperately wanted to believe in. But behind the costume and laughter, Elizabeth was carrying more than the audience knew. She worked long hours, often exhausted, sometimes hiding personal struggles behind a bright smile. Even during pregnancy, scenes were shot strategically to keep it from public view. Producers worried that motherhood might shift the show's appeal, so she adjusted, pressed forward, and kept the magic alive. Meanwhile, tension slowly crept onto the set. Relationships with co-stars became complicated. Professional admiration mixed with emotional confusion. Friendships blurred into dependence. Rumors spread. And while millions at home saw lighthearted comedy, backstage there were moments of strain, fatigue, and quiet heartbreak. More than once she wondered who she truly was, the mystical wife on screen, or the woman trying to hold everything together behind the scenes. She had fame, comfort, and success, but something essential kept slipping through her fingers. Love felt unstable. Identity felt unsettled. The role brought power, yet often disconnected her from the person she wanted to be. The world wanted Samantha Steffens. Elizabeth still had to find Elizabeth Montgomery. As Bewitched continued, cracks began to widen. The schedules grew longer, the scrutiny sharper, and the pressure heavier. Elizabeth's marriage to producer William Asher, once a creative partnership, became strained. Their lives were built around a show, not a shared home. Conversations turned into arguments. Moments of understanding became rare, and slowly the magic drained from both the set and their relationship. On screen, Samantha solved problems with a twitch of her nose. Off-screen, Elizabeth faced problems no charm could erase. Rumors of emotional distance and hidden affairs began surfacing. She remained professional, never publicly unraveling, but the weight of keeping everything together was becoming unbearable. When the show finally came to an end, it wasn't just the end of a career chapter. It felt like the end of a life she no longer wanted to live. The divorce soon followed. Peace didn't come with it, only quiet. She focused on new roles, ones that allowed her to step away from comedy and bring depth, vulnerability, and edge. She refused to be trapped inside the identity audiences expected of her. Each performance was sharper, more personal, as if she was finally speaking through her characters instead of hiding behind them. In the silence that followed the show's finale, Elizabeth began to build something new, something honest. Success had brought applause, but not peace. And now, for the first time, she decided she would no longer let fame decide who she was supposed to be. She had lost the role that made her famous, but in walking away, she began to reclaim herself. Away from sitcom sets and studio contracts, Elizabeth found a different kind of purpose. Instead of spells and sitcom smiles, she began choosing roles with weight, women facing injustice, voices fighting to be heard, stories rooted in truth. She used her platform deliberately, supported causes others feared to speak about. She stood beside people who often stood alone. Her activism became quiet but fearless, from women's rights to social justice and compassion for marginalized communities. And then, in her final years, life changed suddenly. Elizabeth was diagnosed with cancer, a battle she fought privately, quietly, with dignity. She did not seek pity. She chose peace over publicity. Surrounded by family, she remained as she always had been, strong, thoughtful, and unwavering in her beliefs. She passed away far too soon, but not before shaping a legacy deeper than any character she ever played. To the world, she had been Samantha Steffens, a magical wife in a world that wanted perfection. But Elizabeth was never just a character. She was a woman who searched for truth, battled expectations, and dared to live on her own terms. Her magic wasn't in the twitch of a nose. It was in the strength to walk forward, even when no one could see the path ahead. The cameras eventually stopped rolling, but the quiet courage she carried never faded. Her story still whispers the same message today. Authenticity is its own kind of power, and real magic is choosing who you become.